Do you know what time of the year it is? It's end of tax year time. We're almost there, guys. And if you want to know why I'm so excited about this, well, then keep on watching. Hi everyone, my name is Francesca. I'm an Italian living in London, and here I talk about personal finance, investing, business, the stock market, and everything else related to that. So today I wanted to touch on the ISA, one of the most exciting topics that I've discovered since living in the UK, and it's one of the perks of being a UK taxpayer. So I really think that it's something that puts the country apart from every other country, basically, and it's a huge perk of living in this country. And if you don't know about this one, you're definitely missing out, and this video has the potential to change your life, so then keep on watching. But let's start from the beginning. So I'm talking about the ISA. What is an ISA? Well, an ISA is an individual savings account. It's an investment account that offers a tax-free wrapper, meaning that you're allowed to put different types of investments into this wrapper, and the gains and the income from the investments are completely sheltered from the taxman. It can be opened by any UK taxpayer from the age of 16, and it is quite a generous contribution and quite a generous allowance actually that you're allowed to pay. So you can pay up to £20,000 per tax year, which ends on the 5th of April and starts on the 6th of April every year. And the true power of the ISA, though, is the fact that it protects your investments and gains from the taxman. So they're completely protected, completely sheltered. Now, in this video, I'm going to explain to you where the true power of an ISA lies. To give you an example of this, if you invest, say, £1,000, and through your investments and stock market gains, these £1,000 become £10,000, you would have to pay tax on the £9,000 that you have made. Within an ISA, you don't have to do that. You don't have to pay any taxes on your capital gains. Over time, it can really become a massive amount. Now, there are different types of ISAs. One is your cash ISA, which is basically just a savings account. It's money that is not invested, and the returns are very low on this. You can expect your average sort of like interest rate that you can have on any sort of investment account. You can expect your average interest rate that you can have on your average savings account, which these days are very low. And we're not going to talk about this because the true power of an ISA lies when you combine the tax-free wrapper with a stocks and shares ISA. Now, this is where it gets really interesting because the growth there is much greater, and it makes a much better use of the tax-free shelter. Stocks and shares ISAs are pretty much what it says on the tin, right? So it's money that you have invested in stocks and shares, and therefore is basically just your average brokerage account with the added bonus that your money is protected from the taxman. So it's great. And then there is another type, which is the lifetime ISA. It's basically a special type of stocks and share ISA, specifically targeted for first-time buyers. So when you're looking to save up money for your first home, it's quite a good program actually. If you are indeed saving up for down payment on your house, then I would encourage you to consider that, because you can put in up to £4,000 each tax year until you're 50, and the government will add a 25% bonus to your savings, up to, of course, a maximum of £1,000. So it's basically free money that you get, but it can only be spent for the purpose of your first down payment for a house. So quite specific, but still good. But anyways, going back to the stocks and shares ISAs, as with an investment, and we've talked about this in previous video that I've made, the costs of delaying investments can make a huge difference. And basically, if, for example, you were 18 and you were starting investing £13 per day, which equals to more or less £400 a month, then by the time, in 40 years, with the magic of compound, you would be a millionaire pretty much. And if you invested all that money within an ISA, you would be a tax-free millionaire, because all that money has been grown, and then when you take it out, you wouldn't have to pay sent to the taxman because it has been working within the tax-free wrapper. So pretty mind-boggling stuff. But of course, not all of us, started when we were 18. I didn't start investing when I was 18. Sadly, I couldn't have invested £400 when I was 18. So by all means, don't let this put you off investing, because as we said before, the best time to start investing was 20 years ago, but the next best time is now. So anyways, don't delay that even further. If you haven't started yet, do take advantage of the ISA, especially if you're a UK taxpayer. Do take advantage of this fantastic scheme that the government has put in place, and it has been steadily growing since it first began. I think the maximum that it used to be was £7,000, and now they've brought it up all the way to £20,000. Hopefully it will keep going up, but the reason I'm making this video now is because you can't roll it over. So any leftover from your previous tax year can't be brought with you into the next tax year. So you still have a few days left to really max out on your allowance for the year 2020. So if you can at all, definitely go all in and try and max it out as much as possible. And if not, just set yourself up for success when the next tax year begins. And so if you need to open an ISA, by all means do that. A word of caution that you can only have one ISA open at any given time, and you can only invest in one ISA account per tax year. So even if you open an ISA and you even invest £1, let's say, into an ISA account in one tax year, and then you want to open another one, you can't. You would have first to close that ISA that you've opened and kind of move that pound. Of course, like, this is not a realistic example, but just to make my point, you would have to bring that across to your new provider and then start investing in that. Now, how can you open an ISA investment account today? Well, there's a few options. I've touched on a few. Of course, one option that, especially if you have quite a lot of funds to invest, definitely speak to a financial advisor. They would be able and best placed to guide you through the different types of ISAs, though of course with this level of professional expertise and knowledge, you would definitely have to pay some fees to access this knowledge, right? Which is just fair, but it's probably not the best option for someone that is just starting out, that doesn't have huge amounts of money to invest. The second option might be the best one for you, is the most cost-effective way of doing it, which is just investing directly in an ISA. And you can do that, as we said, through Vanguard, which I have a whole video dedicated to that. So they make it also pretty easy and straightforward to open an ISA. And then there are honestly so many other platforms that you can use. I mentioned Trading212, which is the one that I use, and they also have an ISA option. And then I mentioned some other robo-advisors such as Nutmeg or Wealthsimple, and there are plenty other ones which make investing quite easy because they do a lot of the work for you. So basically you just select your risk profile, basically, so the amount of risk that you are willing to take on, and then they tailor the investments to that type of risk. So each one of them brings some cons and some pros, and so I'll leave that to you to make that judgment call, of course, on what's the best option for you. Now, personally, as you know, I use a lot of ETFs because I love the broader exposure to the entire market that they allow me to have, with relatively small time invested into researching, just because of the diversification that they have by default, pretty much. Now, the ones that I am most invested in are the IUSA, which is pretty much the equivalent, but it's basically the S&P 500 ETF. Now mine is from iShares. Then the second one is VWRL, which is the Vanguard FTSE All World ETF. And then I have the SWDA, which is again the iShares MSCI World. So you can see pretty much catch-all sort of ETFs that I have going on. And yeah, and I like the diversification that they offer me in terms of geographies, types of markets, etc., and types of industries as well. An important thing to mention, as always, is that returns are just averages and they're not guaranteed, right? So but kind of keeping that into account, and having said that, the average inflation adjusted return of the S&P 500 in the last years has been 7%, which is, very high, and it's safe to assume that, in the long run, this is also what we can expect. Again, it's not guaranteed, but it's what we can expect. Now, the longer you invest for, the higher and better the chances of having these types of returns. What a lot of people do is, kind of getting spooked where the market goes down, and then they temporarily lose money. So they take the money out, and that is always the wrong choice, and it's always the wrong thing to do. Buy and hold for the long term, and you basically enhance your chances of having those types of 7% returns, or even higher, really. I think I've covered all the topics that I wanted to cover. I hope this made sense, and I hope it wasn't too all over the place. Of course, ISAs is something that really excites me, and I think that the UK has the highest allowance offered in such a tax-free way, right? I know that, for example, in the US, I think they have like $5,000. That's the equivalent that they have, so significantly lower. So if you are a UK taxpayer, if you qualify for an ISA, by all means, take advantage of this, and it's an incredible opportunity. Do your research now if you haven't opened an ISA yet. With your ISA allowance, start now, invest what you can, and keep investing regardless of the short-term market tendencies. And you too can become one day a tax-free millionaire. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.